Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Got a topic that I want to talk about. I typically do not delve into celebrity gossip and trash and whatever, but because this topic, I feel, in my opinion, is a part of the alphabet agenda and to dehumanize Black men, to emasculate Black men who have been sexually assaulted and may not have been able to report it because powerful people were able to make something happen to them or their family members, or possibly held their livelihoods and careers in the palms of their hands. I want to talk about it because, for one, it bothers me. I haven't been an advocate for victims of sexual assault, both children and adults, men and women, and people in the LGBTQ community. I know how difficult it is for men to come forward and share that they have been sexually assaulted. And in my time in sexual assault, working in HIV, working with prisoners who were infected in prison because of sexual assault, male prisoners, um, and even having friends and associates who just happen to share with me they have been sexually assaulted as young children, as teenagers, by both men and women, and they never told anyone, but it has impacted um, their entire lives, how they interact with their children, how they interact with their friends, how they have relationships with both men and women. Um, it impacted their mental health. A lot of times they are humiliated when they think about it, especially when it is same sex sexual assault and they are not homosexual or never had any homosexual um, leanings. uh, it is very disturbing to them. And to hear a lot of these men talk about these situations, it is disturbing. It's disturbing to me that this has never been studied um, more than it has. It is a disgrace that it has not been studied more. There has not been more research and more resources put towards assisting men of who have been victims of sexual violence, um, in the same manner that the system or the institutions support women. And the thing that concerns me about this case with Diddy is that it ties into a bigger agenda. So, one, it is a distraction for sure. Why after all this time, right now, as Babylon falls, do we need to be talking about a bisexual, perverted maniac who basically raped boys and men for decades, and plenty of people knew and nobody ever came forth, kind of like with R. Kelly. And a lot of other situations. Nobody talks about the parents who let their children go off with these grown people and be in adult situations. Just turn your kids over for some money, and then the kids end up being sexually abused, turned out. I'll have all kinds of things happen to them. And grown men who were young, um, easily influenced, perhaps desperate, or perhaps put in compromising positions intentionally so that they could be taken advantage of and have blackmail material. It's very puzzling because it's our community. Not puzzling, it's very disturbing because this has been going on for a very long time, and our people tend to make folly of it. Like now, we're like, oh, it's so interesting, and because it's men, it is going to be a circus, basically. And people are going to label these people who were sexually assaulted or forced into sex acts by these high level executives, these powerful people, um, and not see them as victims. They'll just be labeled as gay. And folks won't look at the power dynamics in the same way that they look at the power dynamics as it, if it were women, like with the Harvey Weinstein situation, all the aspiring actresses going up to his room, getting rubbed, touching on his genitals, having sex, going to lunch meetings, letting them touch him and stuff like that. Like, we as a society tend to have sympathy and empathy for women. We have zero tolerance for men. And that is very problematic for me. And so I want to speak to it because men are sexually assaulted and we don't even know if it's at a higher rate. I personally believe men and boys are sexually assaulted at the same rate as girls and women. We just don't talk about it because women are allowed to get away with a whole lot of things that men are not. The men don't tell that they sleep with older women in their teens because it's seen as a rite of passage and that's how you learn to have sex. Well, if it was a man and the man is having sex with the younger woman, you want to charge the man with statutory rape. Or even if it's a high school boy, a college age young man having sex with a teenager, it is seen as a act that is terroristic in nature and that should be prosecuted. Whereas with men, not so much. But we don't look at the impact that type of behavior has on men. So when we look at our community in particular, and I'm talking about the Black community, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in any other community, but I can only speak for the African American community because that's who I focus on and that's who I spend the most time around. A lot of men are having a lot of issues and they tend to have issues later in life, in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, because of sexual assault, um, which led to early promiscuous behavior, an unhealthy view of sex, inability to express themselves because society doesn't allow them to express themselves, an inability to talk about their sexual assaults because there are no platforms, hardly any platforms you see dedicated to men who are victims of sexual assault. Now, and I'm talking about heterosexual men, LGBT men talk about their sexual assaults and childhood sexual abuse all the time. But for heterosexual men, it's almost never discussed. They don't have a Me Too movement. They don't have a national organization dedicated to their issues. They don't have a federal bureau that deals specifically with men, uh, male victims of sexual assault, like they have VOWA and VOCA. Um, it's just not, it doesn't exist. And we never take the time to think about these things. But my concern is as these disclosures happen and they talk about all the men that Diddy slept with, nobody's talking about whether or not these incidences stem from sexual assault and blackmail, uh, coercion, um, fear tactics. None of those things, or even just outright drugging, like the whole gamut of things that can happen to women can also happen to men, and we're not having that discussion. Our community is very immature, and we are discussing how Diddy is finally coming down, he's getting his day, so on and so forth. But what about the victims? What about the men? First of all, because they're public figures and people are who were behind the scenes are now suddenly coming out and naming them, in particular a bodyguard or a lot of people, I'll just say that, a lot of men who have had brushes with Diddy are coming forward themselves But there are other people who have never come forward who have humiliating evidence likely being held over their heads. And so they can't speak out. But because these people who are behind the scenes, bodyguards, cooks, cleanup people, whoever, clinger runners, they know, they stand to profit now, and they can get their 5 minutes of fame. But what we cannot do is dehumanize these men who are going through these experiences, because nobody may know anything about their lives. They may be heterosexual men and nobody ever knew about these things except for people in the industry, where apparently it was a big old open secret. But as far as us in the public, we didn't know any of that, and it wasn't any of our business. It was never reported to the police. It just so happens now all these things come out after this law was passed and ended in New York that Cassie used to file her lawsuit. So there are a lot of situations happening right now that are just nasty and messy, and I honestly think we should not be indulging in them. But I want to speak to the fact that so many men deal with sexual assault, and the same thing that you're seeing now with the way that it's like salacious gossip and everybody's talking about Diddy. Nobody's thinking about the victims. You don't get the same empathy and sympathy for these male victims that you would get for females, of young female girl. You think about Justin Bieber and Usher. Allegedly, they were sexually assaulted, or had dalliances. I don't know anything about the situation, so I'm going to make that disclaimer. But just think of how young they were, and the heavy burdens that they have to carry now because of them coming in contact with this monster. Think about the people who are around who help groom these people and lure these young people into this industry, and so that they could be taken advantage of. And basically sell their souls for fame and fortune. You wonder why so many people in entertainment are tortured souls, and this is why you have predators basically running the insane asylum, just like basically um, predators are running everything that we need for our survival. You look at politics, you look at communications, you look at education, you just look at everything. Like, there's nobody hardly decent, sane in any of these fields. And so as we see these things play out, we need to remember that these folks have an agenda. These folks being these powers that be. At the end of the day, everything that you are watching on television is about us. It is about the true children of Israel. Anything that can be done to dehumanize us, to give the appearance that we are a sinful, unrepentant bunch of people, we are degenerates, our men ain't crap. That is what is going to be played out, so that we can look weak, we can be looked over. Folks will not want to help us. Our men will yet again be left defenseless. Our men. And our women will help beat our men up instead of standing with them. For every one of these men that are going to be named who are victims or who possibly slept with this man, this monster, they have parents, they have siblings, they have a mother who has to deal with the fallout from this. And they didn't have anything to do with this monster coming in contact with these people, whether it was willingly or whether it was through force. We need to respect these men who are having to deal with the fallout from this. We need to understand that our community is under attack. We need to understand that this is a distraction to keep you from understanding and seeing Babylon fall, because Babylon falling every day. So they need you to be wrapped up in football, basketball, who slept with who raped who who's gay, who ain't. Uh, that's what they want to keep our community distracted with, because while they are doing that, they are robbing everything that belongs to us, taking it away from us. They are instituting all sorts of policies and processes that will take us out locally. Those of us who are not celebrities, those of us who don't have any resources, those of us who cannot escape Babylon. These people can leave. We can't. These people are doing everything they can to make Black men look weak, to make Black men look queer, to make like Black men can't function. It is a big old psyop. And it's no coincidence that all these trials, you got the Jonathan Majors trial going on where he allegedly raped a white woman. You got Will Smith in the news. His wife won't be quiet, and she keeps talking about, him. And it's just a constant bombardment. We got the Dwight Howard thing. It's so many stories out here about Black men and their sexuality. Black men unable to control themselves sexually. Black men who are appearing to be predators. It is not by accident. This is a spiritual attack. We are being attacked collectively by principalities, and whether women want to believe it or not, we are going to be left uncovered if we don't learn how to pray and cover our men, pray that all these predators are exposed, but we also got to pray and protect our people who were victims. A lot of people have been victimized, and sometimes people don't have the ability to look at stuff in a full spectrum. They only see what they see. They can only see things one way. And even if they can't see the other way, they just tend to lean on the way that, simplistic way that they want to think or see. But we are under attack, and it's only going to get worse as Black people are waking up and coming out of this system and not wanting to participate in anything. We're not getting in anybody's conflicts. We're not trying to be voting for nothing. We ain't getting no reparations, so we ain't joining and coalescing with nobody. We're not aligning ourselves with anybody else's causes. We ain't doing nothing. We just staying Black and minding Black business and protecting Black people, at least those of us who are awakened and who are trying to teach our people about Babylon, the truth about Babylon, and how Babylon works before it falls, so they can come out of her. And the majority of people just don't see it. They don't get it. And so we have to really be on guard. We got to really stay prayed up. We got to really have our eyes open and understand all these things are not happening by accident. Like, there's no way all these things can't be happening at one time. Just can't. Certain people start talking about, certain things, and then all of a sudden there's this snowball effect. And it kind of started with Jamie Foxx and him having a conversation about something. The next thing you know, he's sick, almost dead. And then, things just start snowballing from there. We got to mind Black business, but we also got to take care of Black men. And there's no way our community is going to be able to war with swords or nothing else if we don't have healthy Black men. So we have to be very supportive in this hour and make sure we are doing what we can to build up our brothers, to encourage our men to walk in their gifts and talents, to pray for them so that the Creator can repair them. We all have been damaged by our family members. We got mama issues. We got daddy issues. We got first love done broke our heart issues and bad marriage issues. We got all sorts of things that we're dealing with that is keeping us, that are keeping us from being a healthy community. And so with this sexual assault stuff coming out, it is going to be devastating. And my heart goes out to all of the people that are going to be exposed. I have no respect for anybody who's now sitting on a chair, getting their 5 minutes of fame, talking about what somebody did, and they know this and that. They signed the NDA, so they didn't, so they couldn't talk. They continue to get paid and witness all these atrocities and crimes being committed, and not saying anything about it, not reporting it, not doing anything, not asking for, um, you know, what do they call it? Immunity for going to report. Like, those kids being sexually assaulted, people were mandated reporters. They could have told that and got some kind of coverage and been exposed that dude. They didn't do it because all people care about is money. And this is why Babylon is going to fall. This is a wicked place. It's a wicked system. We live amongst wicked people. And a lot of people protected Diddy, but he must have pissed somebody off, or the powers don't need him anymore because he can't deliver the black vote no more. So he must be getting ready to be the sacrificial lamb for not delivering or keeping the Negroes in line and blinded and tap dancing to the polls. There's a reason that Diddy is being sacrificed now at this time, because the people I've been hearing these stories about this man since the 80s. I used to go to New Jersey in the summertime, and I used to hear Wendy Williams on the radio. This stuff is nothing new about him. All this time, he's been allowed to live, thrive, get wealthy, rob folks, be a predator. And now, right now, as Babylon falls, suddenly, now all his business come out. Y'all got to do better. Wake up and see what's happening. It is a distraction. It is intentional. The only thing I'm concerned about are the victims, who will be the collateral damage. They will be humiliated. They will be berated. They are going to be dehumanized. These men are going to be handled rough because our people don't know how to come together and support and heal one another when we go through these things. And we don't, and I don't care what we say, our community we are not a safe space for our men. Our men don't have any place to go. They don't have any refuge. If they don't have a good mama or some good female friends, or maybe a good circle of guys who they can talk to, they don't have anybody. They have to deal with this stuff alone. And so I pray that our community wakes up and looks at the big picture and not ride on the bandwagon of the evil powers that be, who control these communications and controls the conversations that we have. Let us use our critical thinking skills. Let us think about these men as human beings, as victims of crimes, potentially. And I'm not saying that all of them are victims, because some of these men may actually be homosexual or bisexual. But to have their private business come out in such a humiliating manner because one person is a predator is also unfortunate. And so we need to have consideration for those people as well, because none of us have been perfect. All of us have fallen short. And at any time, this could be any of us. Any of us could have done something humiliating or been involved in something, and years later, our skeletons come falling out of the closet. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and think about that for a moment. Do you have anything that you've done that you don't want anybody on earth to know that you did and you got away with it, or some type of clause keeps it from being disclosed? Or maybe some people forgot, or maybe you moved away and you don't have to look in the face of the people who know your secrets, period. So, be kind to our brothers who are going to be dragged through the mud. Treat them the same way you would treat a female victim or a child victim of sexual assault, especially in light of the fact that a lot of these people have very derogatory, dehumanizing, allegedly have dehumanizing and derogatory information stored somewhere as backup for any event they need to get them back in line. So, I wouldn't be shocked at anything that I hear. I won't be shocked by any names that come out. But no matter what comes out, let's treat Black men with dignity and respect. Let's show the powers that be we care about our people, and let's not do what they want us to do, because they want us to drag our men and humiliate our men and do all these things. What those men do is between them and the Most High. What we have to do is understand we are all captive in this system, and Diddy ain't nothing but another house Negro that went out and got all these Black people to come and perform for Mr. Charlie, made Mr. Charlie uber rich. He got rich and robbed us, kept us in line for how many years with music and with fake promises about helping us vote so we can have some power. He is no better than any other raccoon. And so you got to learn how to, see the big picture of what's really happening here. Let us not look at the victims, not all of them anyway. And everyone's going to have a different story. So we got to take that into consideration as well. But let us understand what's happening. This is a smear campaign to dehumanize Black men, to emasculate Black men, to disrespect Black men, and not just these in this that's going to be caught up in the scandal, but all Black men in general. You're going to be seen as sexual predators. That's been the trope for 400 years. Ain't nothing getting ready to change. You can't control your sexual appetite. You screw anything. You are barbaric. Yeah, all these tropes are going to come out, and they're going to be targeting all Black men, all Black boys. And the other thing about us women is we're going to be looked at harshly too, because a lot of these mamas allowed their young sons to be with this man. So our parenting skills are going to be questioned as well as a collective. So let us be mindful of the agendas that are at hand. This is a distraction, but it is also a psyop, and a lot of people are playing into it, just as the powers want you to, so that you can have a visual in your mind without knowing it of Black men. All Black men are XXX, whatever you want to say. We not going down that road over here. So this will be the last time I talk about it, but I want to talk about it because I know there are many men who are victims of sexual assault who have never had therapy, who have never been able to disclose it, who have never got any closure, who have never received any recompense. Society does not care about men, and definitely not about Black men. And I can say the Black community in general, we do a terrible job of addressing sexual assault. If we're not aligned with white women, we barely do anything about sexual assault. That needs to change. And hopefully, I will witness our people coming to the aid of these brothers who are going to be humiliated and disrespected, and understand it's not just them, but it's all of our men, all of our sons, all of our brothers, all of our fathers, people who otherwise could be good people are going to be dragged through the mud because these folks have an agenda to get rid of us by any means necessary, make us look bad, delete us, whatever they got to do to get rid of us, because their time of ruling is almost over and they have to do what they can to make us look disobedient before the Creator so that we'll be out of order. The word tells us what we are supposed to do for our brothers and sisters and how we are supposed to handle family business. Family business ain't supposed to be out in the media before everybody. We're supposed to handle this in private behind closed doors, and I would like to see our community do that. So if you have an opportunity to express yourself publicly, don't. If you have an opportunity to say something, be quiet. It's not your business. If it's not your business, you should refrain from weighing in on it, because we don't get any. We don't get any. There's no benefit for us to comment on these things. So let us mind our business. Let us be respectful, and let us be mindful that brothers are going to be harmed. Brothers were harmed, and brothers are going to be harmed by these disclosures. So let us have a healing mindset, a praying mindset, and a loving, caring, compassionate mindset towards these individuals who are going to be harmed by these disclosures. And let us keep in mind that the bigger agenda is to vilify the whole, the collective of Black men and women in this country, to make us look like degenerates. And that's what we look like right now. So this is Marley K. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. I don't talk about these topics much, so if this is what you like, this is probably not the channel for you. I talk about end time prophetic things and the New World Order. That's where I am. So like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. If you know men who have been sexually assaulted and may be triggered by these events, try to be a listening ear, be more compassionate, and have empathy for them, because they don't get that often. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I can't tell you how many men over the years have just broken down and cried, and I don't know why people tell me, their stories, but I'm very empathetic, and I understand that that is something that the Most High just gave me a listening ear, and I have spiritual discernment. I'm always curious about somebody's childhood, somebody's life, because I can see things in people. And so taking the time to notice people, sometimes people don't ask folks how they're doing or what's going on in their life. Uh, are they okay? Sometimes these things bother people, and they'd rather tell a complete stranger than to tell somebody that they know. So be mindful of folks' countenance. Be mindful that, we all have a past. We all have stories. We all have issues. We all have trauma that we have to deal with. It doesn't matter when it happened, but just let us be mindful that, we are all human beings. We are flawed, but there are some people who are just diabolical walking among us, who need to be flogged or done away with or put away so that they cannot harm other people. And this is going to be one of those situations you find in the end. He's not doing anything that wasn't done to him, probably, and he was allowed to do this because there's an entire industry that does this. This will not be the first case. It's not going to be the last case, but it's going to be problematic for our people because it's a recurring theme and we don't address it. If we don't punish these people for hurting our young people and for putting our men in these precarious situations, it will continue to happen. And that's all I'm going to say about it. A lot of countries do stuff. Here in Babylon, seems like we don't. And that needs to change. So, brothers, y'all need to step up. Mothers, y'all need to do a better job of protecting and teaching. Aunties, grandmas, sisters, cousins, same thing. We have an obligation too to teach these men that their bodies are not somebody's playground, that they don't have to tolerate sexual abuse. And we need to teach our boys and men just like we teach our girls. We need to treat everybody the same way. We should not treat girls as if they're precious and boys as if they're throwaways and anybody can do anything to their bodies. You wonder why our community is dysfunctional? This is one example as to why we do not deal with our issues. And men are at the top of the social order for our community. And so we need to tend to them the way they need to be tended to so that our community can heal and be functional once again. But as long as we're going to act like ain't nothing happening, these men going to be around here doing whatever, all mannerisms of everything, all mannerisms of wrong, trying to heal from traumas that happened years ago and deal with things that they can never tell anybody because we don't allow them space to tell us the truth. And then when they do tell us the truth, we don't do anything about it or we act like we don't care. That has to change. All right, y'all. This is Marty K. Love y'all. And I'm out.